How did I not even realize that I had distractions that were holding me back? And if I had to guess, I bet you have distractions holding you back too. Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Annie Kilco, and this is your go-to podcast for navigating the empty nest era with confidence and entrepreneurial spirit. I'm that crazy dog mama adjusting to life after kids and quite honestly, still trying to figure out what I want to do for a living. I'm a former boutique owner and seasoned mompreneur, and this show is dedicated to empowering women just like me, over 40, to embrace their unique journeys and thrive in the digital age. Join me for inspiring discussions on confidence building tips, mindset work, social media strategies, and how to be successful as an introvert and essential business tools. I'll also give you the real scoop on whether I think the latest and greatest digital way to make money is the real deal or a huge waste of time and dollars. Whether you're looking to reinvent yourself or take your business to new heights, I'm here to help you chase your dreams and be unapologetically and authentically yourself online. Follow the Influence Over 40 podcast and don't miss out on all the valuable tips and tools to make your business journey and 2.0 era easier. Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome back to another episode of Influence Over 40. I'm your host, Annie Kilco, and I'm so glad that you are here today. And this one, again, guys, I'm just kind of going off the cuff with this one. It's something that kind of came to me as I was on my way to the gym this morning, and I felt like I really wanted to speak about it with you. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I do realize that originally I said this would be a weekly podcast, but I have found that my creative urges come in spurts, and it's not something that I'm always completely feeling the urge to talk about something every single week. But I promise when I am feeling that urge that I will definitely make that up to you. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So as I said in the preview, how did I not realize that I had distractions that were holding me back? It wasn't until probably last night, until maybe this morning, before I snapped out of it and realized what I was actually doing, that this was this rabbit hole that I went down that I thought really could be another business opportunity for me. Turns out it really was just a distraction, and it really was just keeping me from what I really needed to be doing. So I want to break that down for you just a little bit and kind of tell you what I was doing. So obviously, you know that I have this podcast. Well, I have another podcast with my husband as well. And I have been wanting to put that one and this one on YouTube and have a YouTube channel. And that's something that I've never known about. I've never learned about. I had to start researching how to do that. And by doing that, I went on YouTube. I went on YouTube to research, how do you start a YouTube channel? That's what a normal person would do, right? And so I knew that I wanted the podcast to be in a YouTube format, which means that you've got to take the video portion, you've got to take the podcasting portion, you got to mesh them together, you've got to make shorts along with that YouTube long video podcast, and you've got to somehow figure out how to get all of that onto YouTube. So I knew that that's something that I wanted to do, and I had been researching that. And along with researching that, I've also been looking at and learning more about the podcasting. So when I started the podcast, I was researching podcast equipment. So you see the microphone that I'm using here, the arm that it's on, the lighting and different things like that, how you record the different podcast editing equipment, all of that type of stuff. So I was doing the same type of research for the YouTube piece of it. Well, as I'm researching, I am looking for different YouTube experts basically, and I found a couple that really resonated with me, and I was watching their different videos on everything. Well, I went down this kind of rabbit hole watching his videos, and one of the videos that he had this woman on here who was talking about how she is an Amazon influencer and how she makes money doing the Amazon influencing program. And I was like, that's interesting, because I know that, once I get everything completely up and going with the podcast, with the YouTube pieces of it, that I'm going to want to add additional revenue revenue streams. And I know that I've already been an Amazon associate, have a storefront when I had the boutique. So I'm like, okay, this would be a good thing that I possibly could add to it. So I watched her video, and then I went and followed her, and, put my email address in to get her freebie. And I went down this rabbit hole of researching what she's doing to find out, is it real? Is this real? Is this really how you can make money? Can you really do this? Is it feasible? Could I see myself doing this? All those kind of things. And then who else out there in the marketplace is doing it? Well, obviously, like, everybody's doing it, right? Because you see everybody all over TikTok. You see people you see on the reels all the time with the shoppable post and stuff like that. So obviously people are doing it to make money, but what I was really trying to find out is it something that is feasible for me, and can I see myself doing that? Well, I was going all in, and I was like this close to purchasing her course and learning more about that. But I'm like, I know how I am, and I do not make decisions quickly. I am going to sit on it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to, really try to listen to my body and what my intuition is telling me as far as, does this make sense? And when I took a step back and really listened to myself and thought about it, I'm like, what are you doing, Annie? What are you doing? Like, you have completely lost track of why you were even on YouTube to begin with. You were on YouTube to find YouTube experts, to learn from them so that you can grow your YouTube channel. One, that you can learn how to put the videos on there. You can figure out how to do the shorts. You can figure out, what are the best systems to use to do this? What are the best, equipment and software to use this? Who can teach you this? And then, streamline all of it. And I completely got lost. I got lost down the rabbit hole, and I realized this was a distraction. This was a distraction the universe gave me to test me, basically. The universe wanted to test me to see, would I follow that distraction, or would I realize it and come back? And I'm not going to lie, it took me about a good week before I realized I was following this distraction, and it was completely keeping me from what I really wanted to be doing, which was learning and mastering everything about the YouTube piece of it. So, what did I get from that week of going down that rabbit hole? I got nothing. I got a lot of wasted time is what I got. I won't say just wasted time. I did learn a lot about that. So when I get to the point of wanting to add additional streams of revenue, possibly to my YouTube channel, my podcast piece, I do understand all about that portion with Amazon. I'm not going to lie. I do shop a lot on Amazon. I purchase a lot of things. I got this podcast mic, this headset, this arm, this, my lighting, my the camera holder thingy. Why my brain is like completely, my tripod, geez, completely going bleh. And so I do shop a lot on Amazon. I'm like, okay, this could be something for me possibly in the future, but not right now. Right now, I need to be mastering the YouTube piece of it. I need to understand everything that goes into making the YouTube video, how to upload it, how it all makes sense, how does SEO play into it, how do you market it, how do you grow your audience, like all of the things. I need to be learning about all of these things, not going down a rabbit hole full of distractions. And so it really got me to thinking about, why did I get distracted? And when I really sit and think about why I got distracted, it's because I started operating from a mindset or a mentality of scarcity. It wasn't from a mindset of abundance and having enough money. That for me personally, that was what caused me to go down this particular rabbit hole and have this distraction. I was trying to figure out how am I going to monetize this YouTube channel, monetize this podcast, which down the road, I do need to understand that. However, today, what I need to focus on is just getting it done, making sure that I understand how to have a podcast, how understand how to have a YouTube channel and just get those things uploaded. And then the second piece of the monetization, that will come at a later time. So, that was my reasoning about why I got distracted, but there's definitely other reasons that you might possibly get distracted if you've ever gone down a rabbit hole like this, and you had a project that you were working on and you got sidetracked, right? And it could be from that same thing of the scarcity mindset, or it could be like having a roadblock. So if you come across something, let's say you're working on a particular project and you come up against something that you just can't quite figure out, or it's maybe just a little bit hard. It's hard to get past that particular thing. It's so much easier to just get distracted. Just get distracted and go down that rabbit hole, and then you don't have to worry about that roadblock, right? So that's a reason that, you might possibly get distracted versus, keeping down that particular path that, that you're on, that you need to work on. It could be that you don't know what the next step is. And I definitely have come across that before. Sometimes when I'm so spinning my wheels sometimes of I don't know what my next step is, I will start to try to learn something new, get distracted, go down that rabbit hole, and it's just not serving me at that particular time. Now, there's nothing, I never want to say that distractions for me are wrong, or that it's not, teaching me something, because typically my distractions are going from learning one thing to trying to learn another thing. And while learning is always a good thing for me, I need to stick with one and master it before I jump to another. It's, it's sort of, you can't run before you walk. You have to learn to walk before you can run, right? And so, that was something that I really had to think about. And so, and I know that every YouTube, every podcast, they all have different revenue streams, and that is a future phase. That was something we used to say. We rolled out a particular thing at Geico, and a system, and it was always, that's a future phase. So every time I say that, I kind of make myself giggle a little bit. But anyway, that was taking it way back right there. But anyway, I know that every YouTube channel, every podcast, if it's going to be a successful one, or when it is a successful one, the things that you want to do is that you want to find other ways to monetize that podcast besides just, if you have a lot of subscribers or a lot of listeners on your podcast or your YouTube, then that is a possible way to monetize your channel or your podcast. But you always want to think about other ways that you can monetize as well. You always want to have additional streams of revenue that are, coming in and that you can count on. And I understand that, completely understand that, and know that. And so as a future phase, that is what I'm going to look for is, things like, are we introducing products that we can share links to? Like if I'm doing this podcast, would I share my links to this microphone that I'm using, to the lighting that I'm using, to the tripod, to, the microphone, the other microphone that I'm using that's clipped down here that you might not be able to see. So, and then eventually a digital course that I create about how you start a podcast, or, how you start a YouTube channel, because, I'll be honest, what I found out there wasn't great at this particular point. So there's definitely some opportunity, some areas for opportunity there. But I know that I need to stick to one thing first, and that is mastering the YouTube channel, which I haven't done yet. Some would tell you that you can do those things all at the same time, that you can learn the YouTube piece of it and learn how to monetize it in other ways all at the same time. And some that would even encourage you to do so. Like, a lot of the digital courses and people that coach on those particular things, they are coaching that you should launch your product before you've even, created the product. And I completely understand and get that as well. But for me personally, I need to master this first before I can figure out how to put my own, spin on it, or make it even better, or figure out a way that it needs to be done and teach it in a better way. I just wanted to share that today. It was interesting. I don't know. It's when I think about it, I'm like, duh, this is like the biggest duh of all the does, right? But I was in it. I just didn't realize it while I was in it. So I'm just wondering, like for you right now, are you having roadblocks that, that you're facing that where you're looking for distractions, you're looking for a way to not have to worry about that particular roadblock and not have to address it right now? Or, what in your business or your journey are you unsure about that has you looking for distractions to, so that you don't have to address that? Or it could just be that you're unsure or unclear about what your next steps are. That is very much a thing. And when that is happening, a lot of times you will be distracted on other things, right? It's very easy to get distracted than it is to just solve the problem. That happens to so many of us, especially entrepreneurs, so many times, especially solopreneurs. It's easy to come up on a roadblock and you don't know how to figure it out. So you either just give up and quit, or you move on to something else. Or you just say, you know what, let's put a pin in that and I'll come back to that later, and you get distracted with something else. And so, I definitely challenge you today to think about that, to think about what those things are that possibly are distracting you. Why are they distracting you? Really sit and think on that. If it's something that you need to chat about it, I'm always open to chatting. You can find me on my socials. I'll have those all linked in the show notes for you. I just appreciate you so much for tuning in to this episode of Influence Over 40. If this episode resonated with you, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I love to also hear your thoughts on the episode, so be sure to leave me a review if you feel led to do so. You can follow me on all of my socials. Again, I'll have those linked below. And as always, thank you so much, gorgeous, for listening. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Mwah.